All right, welcome back to the PTZ Camera Operator Handbook. We've covered so much in this online course, but it's time to talk about innovations in video production, broadcast, and live streaming. PTZ cameras themselves have truly been innovative in adapting to existing broadcast and live streaming standards, but two video production standards that have really changed the game that stand out are NDI, Network Device Interface, and SRT, Secure Reliable Transport. In this video, we're going to talk about both of those and go over why there's such game-changing opportunities for PTZ camera operators and video producers around the world. So innovation in video production is our chapter topic today, but we've gone over so much in this book, which you can download for free and get started. We've talked about what PTZ cameras are. We've opened them up. We've looked at the parts and the pieces and each type of camera control, going all the way into operations and getting kind of deep dives into synchronizing IP video streams and networking. And now it's time to talk about some of the most innovative things happening in video production. Now, at a high level, the live streaming and video production industry is a large community. And I've been going to the National Association of Broadcasters show in Las Vegas and other shows around the world. And it's really been awesome to see vMix, Wirecast, xSplit, OBS, Magewell, all of these companies really push the bar and always releasing new updates. And two of those companies that have really done amazing things is SRT, which is the company behind SRT is High Vision, and NDI, which is actually a independent company now, but NDI is owned by VizRT Group. And these two solutions are quite different, but they've really come to transform a lot of big portions of live video production in different ways. SRT being a great, secure, reliable way to transport video over the public internet, okay, meaning from one location in the world all the way to another without having the two networks connected physically by a cable or by some type of virtual cable system. And then NDI, which primarily was designed for local area networks, okay? So video inside a local area network, very secure inside of a local area network, allowing you to connect and share video through different computers. So for example, with a PTZ camera, we're showing PTZ Optics NDI cameras connected to a local area network. Instead of connecting with an SDI cable or an HDMI cable, we're talking about connecting over an Ethernet cable to get the video from those cameras into your video production computer or video production environment. The ideal thing about this is twofold. It's beyond just simplicity of connecting the cameras to your local area network, but also that same Ethernet cable can be used to power the camera and control the camera. So there's the single cable connectivity opportunity for video production systems. Now, traditionally, and this is an image from NewTek where they explain NDI and its impact in the video production studio, is that NDI is software-based. So it's a software that allows you to enable almost any video production type of piece of hardware or system to be connected to the local area network and ideally ingested into a larger video production system. And NDI has gone out and integrated with hundreds of software solutions and many, many hundreds, I believe, hardware systems as well, so that whether you're using a webcam or a production camera, a computer, or a smartphone, that video can get directly into your production studio over the local area network. Now, when you're learning about NDI, you really should get the NDI tools. And as I mentioned earlier on in this online course, and I'll mention it again in case I forgot, is that I did write a book called The Unofficial Guide to NDI. And it's similar to the PTZ Camera Handbook we're going over now, about 20 chapters really detailing out each piece of NDI, where it came from, the history, and then all the tools and what they do and how they're used. So getting started with NDI, you can go to ndi.tv, you can download the tools, and you can get started really quickly. So at a high level, NDI is just a really easy way to get started with IP video. It's got a lot of great features, and if you want to learn more, check out the unofficial guide to NDI. There's a whole online course, book, and video series. Now, SRT has been around actually a little longer than NDI, but I don't believe the adoption is quite as high as NDI for a couple reasons. And we'll compare and contrast these technologies a little bit, but they are designed for different purposes. So it's not an either or situation. SRT is the secure, reliable transport, as I mentioned, and it's open source. And that's a really big deal. For it to be open source, NDI is not open source. NDI is royalty free in some portions of is it royalty free, not all. But what you should know is it's ideal for sending video over the public internet. It's ideal for remote production, okay? And it is secure. It is encrypted, which much of NDI is not encrypted. So there are a lot of differences, but SRT is designed to get that video from anywhere in the world to another point in the world and still remain good quality with low enough bandwidth to be realistic over the internet, the public internet, and make sure that everything comes through smoothly. The cool thing about SRT is that there's something called the SRT Alliance. Because SRT is open source, folks can take that video code, right, the code from the open source code, and put it into their products. And that's been happening all over the world. And today you'll find over 450 members, maybe it might even be more by now, of people who support SRT as a way to send really good looking, high quality, and secure video all over the world. So, simple example, again with a PTZ camera, PTZ optics cameras support SRT. It's open source, so our engineers put it in there. Then you send the video out of your local area network over the public internet and back into a supporting software that can receive that SRT video, and it works like magic. Now, some networking knowledge is necessary, right, to set up your router to pass through. Each SRT video feed is going to need an open port to be transported through your router. Something to think about. Now, if you don't have any networking knowledge, there are services that provide a proxy server that really make working with SRT quite easy. And you can use SRT to send video over the public internet, and you do not need to have any networking port routing information. So here's an example of a couple SRT cameras going through the public internet and then being sent over to a remote studio somewhere else in the world. And that could be a production computer like vMix. SRT also works with OBS Wirecast. Here's an example situation. Let's say you're working at a broadcast club, and maybe there's an esports situation happening. You could place those cameras anywhere on the local area network, and then transport them across to another network. So very cool stuff, very important to be able to do these things with video production and live streaming. So our next slide here is about remote production. Another example here where we've got an on-stage performance, we've got a sports field, and really just being able to have a remote production studio where the studio is capable of receiving all of these SRT feeds and putting them together. Other use cases, a lot of times there's houses of worship where they've maybe got a home base, they've got like a home kind of parent church that can receive the video feeds and produce them and stream them on behalf of their kind of like seed churches that are out there. I've heard a lot about that. So quite a few awesome opportunities available for this type of stuff. These types of remote production options are becoming really popular for a lot of reasons. One that I'm personally going to be trying out is like an on-site trade show booth where we're sending all the SRT video feeds back to a broadcast studio. What does it really look like? SRT is a little bit more complicated than NDI. NDI, one of the reasons why I believe NDI has had such a higher adoption rate is it's kind of plug and play. It doesn't require a lot of networking capabilities, but SRT looks a little bit like an HTTP address, if you know what that is with a website. SRT colon / the outside IP address. Where is it going? Where are you sending this video? Is it going to, a specific router in the specific world? And then a port is necessary to send it. So a little technical. You may need to learn a little bit more about this stuff before you start using it, for example. But in high level, NDI is really designed generally for the local area network, although NDI has released something called the NDI bridge, which bridges video over the public internet, which is kind of similar to SRT. So very interesting. NDI is very full featured and has a lot of tools that are available. So NDI has really been well adopted. And then SRT really is robust and has become a standard for transporting video over the internet. Both of these technologies are built into PTZ cameras, and they represent a lot of innovation that's happening in the space. All right, our next chapter is on remote production, so we'll touch on these in a little more detail, but we'll focus on the cloud and what that's doing in video production today and how PTZ cameras are a part of that. So I'll see you guys in the next video.